Hello, welcome to the live. Tell you what, I'm on a roll today. 2 on the bounce. No, just done another one. Different topic. This is a more serious topic, right? Which is what happens when you stop negotiating with yourself. So, what do we mean here? I always think that, like, the smarter you are, sometimes, if you're quite clever, quite smart, you might be overthinking things and just procrastination is overthinking's a form of procrastination. And all this kind of negotiating, I'll start next week. It's, whether it has to be perfect. I remember my cousin Matt, comic artist, and he was like working on it for years, and it was like it had to be perfect, and he just massive high standard, you know what I mean? And it's like the agile methodology, or Eric Ries, who came up with the lean startup, which is a book, obviously, and a concept about lean startup means just work agile, get early feedback, start small, and just keep going. And sometimes you don't need a perfect plan. So I think when it comes to, like, if you're sort of overthinking and negotiating with yourself about, should I do this, should I do that, should I start today, it's almost like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start next week, or I'll start the gym in January, or whatever. I mean, we've gone past that now, but maybe I can only start on a Monday, because I can't start midweek or whatever. This kind of negotiating with yourself is basically a form of procrastination and overthinking. And the real reason here is it's just a psychology of habit formation, which is hard. If you're looking to make a change, you might think, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. Quite often, we need to hit a real low point or some kind of emotional pain or physical pain to force us to make the change, which is quite often sad. But why can't we just like set a goal and just start without any kind of pain? Why does it need pain for us to make the change in life? Why can't we just do it? Well, it's because habits are hard, very, very, very hard to form, right? And I talk a lot about habits on my channel. Obviously, I do a lot of content about, hi, welcome to the live. Thanks for the comment. Do a lot of content on things like developing discipline, habits. And the big thing I always talk about is make everything identity based, right? So your identity is super important to get what you want out of life. I think it fits no matter what you want to do, whether it is, your career, your finances, your fitness, your relationships. It's all about identity, I think. So if you're going to form new habits, you know what I mean? If you're sort of procrastinating and you can't get going, you need to form new habits. How do you do that? Well, basically, you've got to force yourself, right? There's no kind of, well, there's two ways to force habit. I think there's two ways to create habits, right? One is through forced repetition, and the other is to attach emotion to it. So emotion's an incredible motivator. If you're getting like severe pain, whether it's like, emotional pain or physical pain, it's all emotional pain. It's very, very good at motivating you. So like a good example is if you've been through like a traumatic breakup, flipping out that don't half motivate you. You know what I mean? You're gonna do all sorts. You'll drop weight within about a month. Like you'll if you're a little bit overweight, that'll be gone within no time. You know what I mean? It's like I saw some memes with guys like, breakups make bodybuilders. Flipping true, people get in shape like you won't believe just over a breakup because of that motivation. So yeah, it just goes to show that where there's emotions involved, you've got absolute easy way to create some change. Well, you haven't got an emotional pain or anything kind of pushing you, and you just sort of sat there thinking, yeah, maybe I should start that business or whatever. There's nothing really motivating you, and you can overthink it, keep telling yourself, I'll start next week. But if you, like I always say, if you use an identity-based approach, right, so I'll show you now what, you've probably seen this if you've seen my stuff before. I put this obviously into the journal, but this diagram here, you'll have to mirror it. It's called the identity evolution cycle. And the way it works is at the top, it's mirrored because it's live. At the top, you got your identity, which is who you say you are or who you want to become. And then here, your goals are like your projects, the things that you need to do and accomplish. And then down here is what you do on a day-to-day basis. And the crux of it is we are the sum of our daily habits. What we do on a day-to-day basis confirms our identity, right? And this is why this is really important. So if you're struggling and negotiating and overthinking and keep questioning, why am I going to start? Why can't I just, like, oh, I'll start next week, keep putting it off, whatever. Maybe you need to do this, sort your identity out, right? Maybe this is what you need. Maybe up here, you need to spend a bit of time solidifying who your identity is, who you are or who you want to become, right? And this works. It's like, I did a video of a live stream the other, might have been last week on this. Actually, I've done a couple of videos. If you go to my channel, look at videos. I've done one called Why Identity-Based Goals Are Better Than like big goals. So you can have a huge ambitious goal, right? And the problem with having right, so if you have a huge ambitious goal, right, and you achieve it, the problem with just achieving that goal is it's like hitting the summit on a mountain. I say in my video, you get to the top of the mountain, you've hit the goal, and then what, right? The only way is down. So this is, you can even like go into like a bit of depression even once you've hit that goal because you're going down. A better approach to this is have everything identity based, and your goals are just milestones along the way. So your identity is almost like your life mission. This is who I am, this is who I want to be, and this is what I'm doing. And every goal you set just seems to be maybe a 6-month milestone, right? But it never ends. You never actually, your identity is like your North Star, and it's on the horizon. And every time you reach it, you just keep moving your goalpost back, right? So the idea being is create that identity for yourself and then go and live it in accordance with it every day with your habits, what you do on a day-to-day basis. So that might mean, like I gave the example, like if you're a musician, let's say you give yourself an identity as a musician, or you might be a musician. If you're a musician, you've got to practice music, haven't you, every day, right? You've got to like study music, look like a musician, act like a musician, maybe surround yourself with other musicians and music and this kind of thing. You couldn't go through life on a day-to-day basis without having any music in your life. You'd be less of a musician, And then the other example, like an athlete, you know what I mean? If you didn't train, you would be less of an athlete. So the idea is create the identity, right, which is like your North Star, like your guiding star, and then just live in accordance with it. And then one of the best things about identity-based goals are once you've nailed that and you start living in accordance with it, your decision making becomes so easy. It becomes very easy. In fact, it's like what Roberto said to me, there are no decisions to make. If you know where you're heading in life, he said to me, there are no decisions to make, only things to do, right? Because you've got your direction. So this is why I think identity-based goals are absolutely miles better, because identity is something that you can have for life, right? And it also fits in with the the book Atomic Habits, James Clear, where basically systems are better than goals, right? Goals are good, but to me they're like they're like periodic milestones that you keep moving. You know, they're just getting you further towards your life mission, which is your identity. So when we say systems are better than goals, we mean daily habits, right? And all those habits, the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, confirm who you are, right? So if you look after your body, you work out, you eat well, and all these things, and you get good sleep, that will confirm that identity. You'll become a healthy person, right? If you don't do those things, you won't become a healthy person. This is why identity-based goals are super important. So I would go and have a look at my video that I did on my channel. It's in videos. Identity-based goals are better than big goals. And yeah, right, I'm going to shoot to the gym, go and look after my identity. Take it all easy. See you all next time.